Okay, I'm going to turn this whole thing into a series, but just to start, you have the world's most hated crew, made up of Jeffree Star. You have Alicia Simons Way, she's Mikey Way's ex-wife. She also dated Pete once. A couple other people that really aren't so famous anymore: Miss E, Sarah Dope, Megan Mayhem. Pretty sure she was just kicked out over the Eliza Gerard breakup. That also brings in Eliza Cuts, and Hey Chris. So I'm going to go into all of this and all of this drama in a... So I'm surprised how many people forgot about this. Mikey Way and Sarah M, aka Sarah Dope, not to be confused with the actual Sarah Dope. At the time, Mikey was married to Alicia. Then some pictures came out. Fans ended up finding out that he was seeing her because she was posting all over her Instagram. Seems that Alicia ended up finding out, and then right after that, they got engaged. It was a short-term engagement, but it was proven that Sarah and one of her best friends, Angie, were longtime MCR fans. She was about 20 at the time, and I don't think any of the band members were a big fan. Bob had some select things to say, and so did Lindsay. Eliza Cuts. So basically, she liked My Chemical Romance so much that she stalked them, came to a show. Gerard Way tried to sell her a homemade shirt, size small. She took that as a compliment. She fell in love with him. She wanted to make him hers. She actually did succeed. They got engaged. The whole time she was pretending to be friends with Mikey to get closer to Gerard, and then he just randomly broke it off with her. So Eliza went on and wrote a fanfic of their entire relationship online, and you best believe that I will be posting that. So Eliza Cuts was Gerard Way's fiance, and when they broke up, Eliza went on to write a fanfic, and it detailed their entire relationship on her MySpace blog. So do remember at the time that she had an internet following, and her fans were able to find pictures and physical evidence that kind of confirmed all of this actually happened. And some other members of the group did speak out about her mental state, but we're going to get into that later. So I figured I would go ahead and read this relationship called Commit Me that she posted on her MySpace. So follow for the series. So Eliza's character is named Emma, Gerard's name is Paul, and the band My Chemical Romance is called Black Pajama Party. So it starts that Emma works at a fitness center on an army base in Germany, had an abusive husband at war, but she left him at war and has not seen the whites of his eyes since. So she was an elliptical trainer when she found Black Pajama Party in a rock magazine, and she fell in love with the lead singer. She couldn't stop staring at his picture. So when she got back to the States, she went to see them at a dingy rock club. So Emma went to the merch table, and Paul looked at her. He pointed to a shirt, and he said, "You should get that one. I designed it." She said, "I don't think I'm tough enough for that one." He said, "You look like you are. Get that one in an extra small." He was drunk and very smelly. She didn't get a shirt, but she felt like he was hitting on her for suggesting an extra small size. She then told her mom she had a crush on Paul and enrolled in cosmetology school with the goal of doing hair for the Black Pajama Party. Black Pajama Party started to take off. She decided she was in love with Paul, even though she hadn't talked to him since that day. So when she got there, a crew member invited her backstage. She went up to the guitarist and said, "Look, I want to tell your lead singer something." Paul came out and said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Hi, my name is Emma, and I was wondering if you would like to fornicate and engage in premarital relations." They then exchanged email addresses. After talking on AIM, Paul admitted that he did have a girlfriend, and he said he did not have any ill intentions toward her, and he didn't want to come across as a creep. She said she assumed he was gay, but then she developed a crush on him due to him saying he didn't want to be a creep. He was a creep, and she loved it. So the next morning, she drove to see him. She got a whiff of pungent smell and turned around to see him. She cut his hair, made plans to see him again, and in the meantime, they talked online. Paul's bandmates didn't like her, but Paul told them that she was gay. She continued to do his hair multiple times, and she questioned whether he actually had a girlfriend. Next time she saw him, Paul told her that he valued her friendship. But then he did say he had his call his girlfriend, and Emma took this as a shot to the stomach. As he walked away, her friend said that he was in love with her. So one night, Paul told her not to come up, but she still drove 5 hours to see him. She rented her own hotel room with her friends, and then she ditched her friends, and she stayed in the room with Paul and his brother. This was the night that the tension was so thick in the air that it could be cut with a knife. Paul flicked her belt buckle, and she begged him to stop. She warned him of the consequences, and he flirted with her anyway. Paul asked what kind of underwear she had on, and she laughed and she changed the subject. She said, "There's something I have to tell you. I like you. He said, "That's okay. That's not really a big problem." And she said, "Is it a problem because you like me too?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, you're right, but friends have crushes on friends all the time." And she said, "Not so much. What are we going to do?" And he said, "Nothing. I'm in love with my girlfriend." So after this night, they didn't talk that much, and she got mad at him that he cut his hair short. But the next time they talked, he said, "Thanks for saying what you said to me. I realized I'm in love with my girlfriend, and we're trying to work it out." So she went on to become friends with Paul's brother, Mikey. And the band started to accept her. So Emma cut Paul's mother's hair, and she told her that she's going to marry his son one day. And the mother laughed. So there was an incident where she went to see a concert, but she wasn't on the VIP guest list, so she cried hysterically for 20 minutes. Another time, she hung out with Paul's brother, and one time when they were hanging out, she ran into Paul, and he couldn't keep his eyes off of her. But on AIM, he said it was sexual tension, no more, no less. So she decided 1 year since she met him, she sent him a letter that said she was in love with him, and he didn't respond for a month. On her 6th sober birthday, he logged on to tell her happy birthday and that he didn't love her back. So things got weird. She got a diagnosis of bipolar, but she didn't go on any medication. She tried dating, but nothing compared to Paul. She got closer to Paul's brother, and he gave her gifts and airplane tickets. And Paul actually asked her for proactive pictures at one point, and when she sent them, he said, "Send more." Alright, so this is the part when she exposed to the internet that Paul's brother was working hard at recovery and getting sober. So she moved in with Paul's brother and fiance, Alicia and Mikey, while he was recovering. And eventually Paul moved back, but they avoided each other. But Paul eventually did invite her to spend the night, and she said, yeah. And he explained that she would need to stay over after a visit from his girlfriend. Paul said, this bed is huge. You can sleep here with me if you want. And Emma said, okay. So he did talk about his girlfriend with his relationship, but did in a candid manner. And then she said, I don't know if you will choose to be with me or her, but I will love you regardless. I have a love for you that is called agape. The most pure love a human can have. Whatever your choice may be, I will stand by you and trust that you made the right decision, even if it means we can never speak again. Emma and Paul had a wrestling match, which resulted in her trying to kiss him. He moved his face away, so she tried again twice more until he finally kissed her back. It was the most passionate kiss she had ever had. The two could actually not stop kissing. And after almost 2 years of being drugged behind a car by her toenails through the rocks and mud, now this? Paul confessed that although there was a new development in the relationship, he was choosing to stay with his girlfriend. So Paul's brother and Emma had long, intense conversations and even fought due to this new trend in Paul and Emma. But Emma threatened to kill herself, and Paul's brother helped contact her roommate and stopped her from doing it. So Paul ended up talking to her the next day, and then he purchased her an airplane ticket for Emma to come to where he was, because he was now single, and Emma struggled with suicidal ideations. So in the most unclimatic resolution ever, she explains that they began to make plans for their wedding in the future. They moved in together. So she ended up making one last trip to Paul before she ended up moving, and he lavished her with gifts behind her wildest dreams. And Paul kept trying to work on his comics, but, he frequently had his hands full with Emma, never knowing which version of love he would get. So Emma was suicidal, and she asked her friend to take her to the hospital. Following this, Paul came to visit her right away, but the next day he sent her an email saying he couldn't take it anymore, and they were not a compatible match. He was done. And like that, he was gone. He changed his number, and he turned her phone off, and then Paul told her where she could send his things, and that was it. So Emma's parents fly her to an island to stay. She gets medication, she starts seeing a therapist, and then her mom ends up telling her that Paul got remarried on tour to Lindsay. And following this, she freaks out. She gets drunk again. She relapses. She cuts herself. She goes into surgery drunk. But she said she could have died, and she's glad she didn't. Everyone deals with things their own way, and she says she only wishes to remember the good times.